Hello, Michiganders. Today we are talking in Social Studies, Michigan History. The topic for economics today would be called Specialization and Interdependence. So before you even find out what those mean, let's talk first about an item in my office. How about this guy? You got a pencil for Christmas. Now, let's just say that I wanted a pencil. Do I have a factory where I can make a pencil? You might think, no, not so much. No, I don't in my office here. But let's think about a pencil for a minute and think about how many pieces it takes or how many people it would take to design a pencil. So we know that pencils are small and round usually. Some are triangle shape for your grip. But this pencil in particular is just a circle shape. Now let's think of all the things that it took to make this pencil. We know a natural resource would be wood and the lead inside. And then another piece would be the foil on the outside. And then to make it all gold-like. And then another would be to make these erasers. Oh, look at what else. There's metal at the top as well. So think about how many jobs it would take to just make this pencil. We saw Henry Ford's factory and how it took someone to make the spindles on the wheels, someone to put the top on the car, someone to bolt all of that together. Excuse me. So think about how many people it would take just to put a car together, which they said 52 seconds, which is amazing. But think of 100 years ago, how many people it took to make that car, the Model T. So it takes a lot of people just to make this car, this pencil. So could I do all that myself? No, it wouldn't be that easy. So think about the things you have around your home. And I want you just to look around for a second. Even in my office here, I'm looking around for a second. Is there anything here that I made myself? Made from scratch? Like, oh, I made this New Year's Eve picture and everything. Okay, I made it, meaning I put marker on the paper. But where did the paper come from? Where did the construction paper come from? Where did the marker come from that I used to write on it? This metal bucket. I didn't make that. I bought it. This whiteboard. I didn't make that. I bought it. These lights where they plug in. The books. So there's lots of things around my home. Yes, we did make some using wood that we bought. So there are things around my house that we made. But let's think about all the other things. Do you plant and raise your own crops? And so you only eat. So some of you are going, yeah, I do. I have a farm in my backyard and I have fruits and vegetables. Great. But is that the only thing you eat? No, probably not. Do you go and butcher your own meat so that you can have meat at the table? Some of you hunt and some of you process your own meat. Yes. But think about, could you survive without the things that you need to buy? Could you survive without a Meijer? Could you survive without an Amazon, buying things on Amazon? I know I couldn't. So therefore, that brought about what's called specialization. Specialization is when someone comes up with an invention, someone comes up with a design that they think other people might need, and so they make it to sell. Now, let's take a look. This is my Alexa, which is plugged in. But this is my Alexa. So someone thought, you know what, it would be easier just to talk to a machine and be able to tell it what to do. Hello, hey Google. Hey Google, hello.
Howdy back at you.
Hey Google, tell us a joke.
What happens when a Frost car breaks? It gets towed.
What happens when a car breaks down? It gets towed. Get it? Okay. Thank you. Hey Google. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, so someone thought of that design to be able to sell to other people because they thought it might be needed. So today, just to start us off with this new lesson, this new idea of specialization, I want you to be thinking about what could you make? What could you specialize in making? Thinking that it might help other people to do their everyday lives, to help other people do what they need to do in their world. So again, specializations could be people that produce certain kinds of goods or services, and they specialize in, like, not everybody. That's why it's important to be different than everybody else, because we need you to have your own interests so you can do those jobs that other people might not find interest in. So if I'm not interested in cutting hair, but I'm sure glad my lady has opened her own business to cut hair because I need her to cut my hair and to make my grays go away. So I'm sure glad she specialized in that. I'm sure glad people specialize in building homes and building even roads so that I can use those and drive down those. So that is specialization when they're doing making a certain kind of good or service. And then you'll also read today about a word called interdependence. Now, interdependence means that I am dependent upon people to get my supplies at Meijer. I'm dependent, meaning I lean on people to make those products so I can use those. Just like when all this COVID stuff started, it's a perfect example how we lean on other people to provide us what we need. I know there was like a toilet paper shortage or whatever, and so people leaned on those businesses. Hey, you got to make that, and then I'm leaning on or depending on the semi truck drivers to bring it to Meijer, and then I'm leaning and depending on the stockers to stock up those shelves so I can go get it. There's been things now on the shelf since COVID started that I've often needed and I depended on. So I was like, okay, I have to make a choice. There's that choice. I have to make a choice. It's not there on the shelf. So what do I do? So interdependence means that I exchange my money for something else, and I exchange one thing for another thing. So meaning that I depend on other people to stock those shelves. So I'm exchanging my money for them to be able to do that. So today you are going to be reading. I know you don't love this kind of reading. I know some of you just choose to just not do it. But try your best. This is another comprehension piece that, in fact, I'm going to do for you. And you can just type in the answer. So you're going to read, stop, or listen to me, stop, type in the answer, listen to me, stop, type in the answer, because you already have some of this to do in Reading Street today. So I know it's a lot of reading and understanding, but I know you can handle it because you're brilliant and you're good readers. So I'll share my screen, and like I said, you might want to stop along the way so you can fill out the answers and kind of just go back and forth. So the reading I'd like you to do today is about specialization and interdependence. And like I said, we would normally be doing this in class together, but obviously because we're not together in class or live, you have to read this by yourself, but you can handle this, okay? So let's take a look. Specialization and interdependence. Think about everything that you have at home. So again, look around. Do you and your family make everything that you own? Did you build your house, make all your clothes, or grow your own food? Chances are that your family buys the things that you need and want. People buy things from people and places who provide a specific kind of good or service. This is known as specialization. Okay, so for an example, I'm going to stop there for a second, but for an example, it would be like, I don't go to Meijer to get my oil changed. I don't go there for my hair to get done. It's because I have to go to a certain place because they specialize in that certain thing. So that's what we're talking about today. Let's continue. We trade the money that we make from jobs for these goods and services. Interdependence happens when people rely on other people for things that they do not produce. I don't produce my own food, so I have to go buy it. So I depend on those people to um, raise crops and sell it and bring it to Meyer. If your family did not build your own home, you relied on someone who specializes in building homes to build it. Someone who specializes in selling homes to sell it to you, and companies who specialize in building furniture and appliances, which would be like your microwave, your dishwasher, your stove, to put things inside of it. If those goods and services came from outside of Michigan, they were imported, so brought in, imported. We import goods from other places to be sold and used here. For example, oranges are imported to Michigan because they can't grow in our climate. Michigan exports goods like apples and Christmas trees because Michigan exports goods like apples and Christmas trees because they grow well in our climate. We also export, which means to send out of Michigan, cars to places all over the world. Specialization and interdependence help to keep our economy strong and growing. Without both, people in Michigan would not have all the things that they want. Citizens in Michigan would only be able to have what they produce for themselves, which is what happened when people first moved to Michigan. You didn't have a Meyer, you didn't have a place you could go get your tire fixed on your wagon. Let's say you didn't have places that you could, oftentimes you didn't have a blacksmith to make your hammers and your nails and the things that you need to even build your home. So you had to make that stuff yourself and figure that out for yourself. So the words, what is specialization? Specialization, I would go back up to the top and it says right here, which is people buy things from people and places who provide a specific kind of good or service. So this would be people, whoops, a daisy, people who, and then you would pause it and finish typing right here where it says, right here, provide. I'm going to put a text box around it so you can definitely see it when you open this today. All right, and I will put it even in a bright color so you can see, provide a specific kind of good or service. Our next question is, what is interdependence? And that's here. Interdependence happens when people rely on other people for things that they do not produce. Okay, so you can write right here. You can write this whole thing, or you can write just part of it and put it in your own words. It's okay to copy when we are answering questions from the story. So it's okay to copy word for word. That's okay. And you can even make your page smaller so that you can go back and forth a little bit easier. So those would be the answers there, loves. Okay. Next page. Do you think trade is always done with money? Why or why not? Let's think of an example. I would say trade. I would start the sentence because you want to write complete sentences. Trade is not, you can say is not or is. It's up to you on your opinion. Trade is always done with money, or trade is not always done with money because, and then say if you have a real life example or you've heard of an example. I would say it's not always done with money because, for example, oftentimes, like I've traded with Mrs. Trinkle, the other third grade teacher. We trade like 1 week I will do copies, 1 week she will do copies. Did we trade with money? No. So it's a favor we do for each other. Or I provide, someone, your parents provide you with food. Do you trade by giving them money? Like, thanks for dinner. Here's $5. No, You might trade with a thank you or a helping to do the dishwasher or helping to do dishes afterwards. So trade isn't always done with money, but try to do a real life example of that. Or if you think that it is always done with money, do an example of a real life situation for that. Number 4, what are popular goods that are made in Michigan and exported to other states and countries? What do we make here in Michigan or grow here in Michigan that is exported to other states and countries? Now that is also in our writing, but you could think, hey, I've been to, and I was just past it this weekend. It was what factory last year? You might be thinking, oh, Jiffy Mix Factory. Yes, Jiffy Mix Factory is something that is made here in Michigan and we export it to other states. I know my parents are in Florida right now and they can get it on the shelf, but guess what? We made it here in Michigan. So that's an example. We make trees or grow Christmas trees, excuse me, and apples and cherries. We grow a lot of those things that we export to other states and countries because we specialize. Remember, cars are a big deal too. So put an example there. Number 5, if Michigan did not rely on specialization and interdependence, what goods or services would citizens not be able to have? So I wouldn't be able to have most things in my house, to be honest with you, if I did not rely on other people to make it. If I didn't rely on people to make me food, I wouldn't be eating dinner tonight. Spaghetti and sauce. I don't crush my own tomatoes and make sauce. I don't make my own noodles. I buy a box of this and a can of this and I put them together and there's your dinner. So if I didn't have someone specializing where I could trade for interdependence for what I need, I would have really white hair because I wouldn't rely on my hair lady. You might not have the toys that you have. Look around at all your electronics you have and all the books that you have and the things that you have. You wouldn't have that stuff. So try to list at least 3 things that you rely on other people to make for you so that you can have at home. So I hope that helps a little bit, and I'm going to include a video so you can watch that if you need a little bit more understanding. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an awesome afternoon. Bye, boys and girls.